I'm Ty Burr.
I'm Wesley Morris.
And today we are talking about Machete.
Machete. Perhaps one of the best movies I've seen all year. In terms of how fun it is, how smart it is, how shocked I am that Robert Rodriguez managed to sort of come into himself at last as a filmmaker of basically what is very hard to do, a crappy movie that actually an inherently knowingly crappy
movie, a B movie that works on its own terms, has smarts, has even a political subtext that isn't done too heavily.
No, it goes beyond subtext. It actually is the text too.
But it still isn't. It's done just right. Okay.
Yes.
So, and it's also the best movie starring Danny Trejo that's ever come out, because it's probably the only movie.
Starring Danny Trejo.
But there needs to be more. Danny Trejo. Well, first of all, Machete started its life as one of those fake trailers in the middle of Grindhouse, and they decided to turn it into a real movie with this character actor, Danny Trejo, who's been in like 140 movies over the last 20 years as this badass guy.
As the same guy.
Right, the guy who's in the corner that you know is going to kill the hero.
The tough dude in the tank top.
So he's a Mexican ex-federale who's been wronged by a drug lord played by Steven Seagal, a senator played by Robert De Niro, a border vigilante played by Don Johnson, or as the credits say, introducing Don Johnson, and who else? Oh, Jeff Fahey.
Yes.
There's a lot of bad guys.
There's a lot of, and that's sort of what also is interesting about this movie is it takes all the politics of illegal immigration and border crossing and disperses the evil among
and apportions them correctly.
Right. And so he's been screwed the old cliche about, the hero who's been screwed 1,000 different ways. He almost really has in this case. Everybody has taken a piece of him, and by extension, the Mexican people themselves.
Right. And there's a whole subplot about an illegal immigration resistance network run by Michelle Rodriguez from a taco truck. And she is glorious. I am truly in love with her.
There's a lot of...
Jessica Alba plays an INS agent who gets a gratuitous shower scene, which is basically hilarious with her consent.
This is from top to bottom a marvelous, the sort of the secret jokes are hilarious.
Yep.
The jokes are hilarious. Every person in the movie gets their assigned joke,
except for one person, Lindsay Lohan.
And even the movies having gotten her to try to tell her own joke, is still kind of funny.
She's funny, but she doesn't know how she's funny. Everybody else knows how they're funny, knows how to work.
She doesn't
even
quite
Jessica
get it,
Alba,
but the attempt is enough. And at least for me, it was, and it's not the whole movie. It's a tiny part.
Small part.
But I think it's worth discussing just how exciting it is, at least for me, to see Robert Rodriguez. Richard Rodriguez, don't go near this movie. Come into himself as a director.
Without trying to do Spy Kids, without trying to keep up with Tarantino.
Well, and to just really make a movie that finally actually feels like a movie he wanted to make, and a movie that he could be making. In a lot of ways, this to me is a blaxploitation movie with Mexican actors.
Yes.
And it's offensive and absurd in the way blaxploitation movies are, but it owns them.
It owns that.
It is completely, it both knows the genre it's inserting itself into, and Rodriguez knows his own sort of political feelings about
it knows the larger world that it can then fit itself into.
It's a perfect...
It's tonally amazing.
Yes.
It really is. Because one misstep and it would have been too jokey, too strident, too overdone.
Too inept. It's sort of... it's knowingly inept in a way that is very, very hard to do.
More than just sort of scratching up the print like they did
and
in
it doesn't feel like a student trying to do a bad movie. It feels like a good movie maker doing a bad movie well. Which is very, very hard to do.
Well said.
And so, I have I'm very excited to see this movie work. I didn't have a lot of expectation for it. And it just gives me an immense amount of pleasure. It's only been with me for a couple hours. I will be thinking about it for the rest of the year.
And who knows? Maybe they'll even make good on the sequel. Machete kills, and the
Machete kills again.
Machete kills again.
So that's Machete. Congratulations, Robert Rodriguez.
You've done it. And congratulations, Jenny Trejo. May you live forever.
Yes, and you too, Jessica Alba, for finally getting something right in a movie.
And having a movie get her right.
Yes. I'm Wesley Morris.
Bye-bye.